think I did that. Okay. Well, my name is Amanda Goss, and I want to talk about the person that I most admire when it comes to interpersonal communication. I met Jenna about 2 years ago when God called her family to move to Oklahoma from Indiana. Our first interaction was sitting at a restaurant called Red Rock Canyon Grill off of Lake Hefner Parkway. I gravitated towards her warm and bubbly personality. I'm typically more reserved and quieter when you first meet me. And I tend to think seriously, and while my interactions with people might be friendly, I have an imaginary wall that's built up until I get to know someone's true character and motive. But with Jenna, there was no wall. She was kind and inquisitive. She asked me a ton of questions about myself, and while normally I would have not shared as openly as I did that night, she made it easy to do so. There was something different about her. She had no walls built up, and she created an atmosphere right there in that restaurant that tore down every wall I had previously built up. She has a big and contagious laugh, and that laugh made me feel even more comfortable with her, like we'd been friends for years already. Over the course of the next month, while her and her family were packing up their belongings to move halfway across the country, we chatted via texting and phone calls and an app called Marco Polo where you can send each other videos. Jenna has a background in counseling at a center for women who are recovering from substance abuse, homelessness, and many other trauma-related issues. That kind of experience taught her to share her humanity with others. She learned to be vulnerable and to share her emotions and feelings willingly with others. And that's exactly what she has taught me to do. She has set the example inside of our conversations for open communication, and I felt comfortable to divulge information with her that I had never expressed to anyone before. She, in some ways, was more than my friend. She became my unpaid counselor. I learned so many interpersonal skills from her. She is definitely someone who demonstrates effective communication skills. She practices active listening by not allowing distractions by her phone or others that are in the atmosphere around us to break her eye contact when making communication. She makes a person feel important and that what they're saying is very interesting to her. My friend Jenna asks questions like, is this a vent session? Or are you ready for my constructive feedback? And when I respond that I just need someone to listen because the day that I've had has been overwhelming or it's weighing heavily on my mind, she does just that. She just listens. But there are times when I need feedback, and she gives me constructive feedback. She empathetically listens to me, and she tells me, even though she may not understand my situation, she's sorry that I'm going through it. When it is time for her to give feedback, she's intentional with the words that she uses, and she does not hold back from telling me when it might be my fault for whatever that's causing me distress. She believes wholeheartedly in telling the truth in love to those that she cares for. She is open to hearing my truth in spoken love as well. I feel no hesitation to tell her when she's hurt my feelings or let me down. And I believe that friendships where there's 100% honesty like that are the most freeing relationships. That kind of vulnerability creates an environment of safety. I think Jenna uses all the components of interpersonal communication well in her daily life. She has 2 little children who are 6 and 8 years old, and she is constantly working to improve her effective communication with them. She talks to me often about what it looks like to be vulnerable enough for them to trust her discipline and guidance. I admire the way that she parents her children, and if I could go back 20 years and start all over, I'd probably apply some of the same principles that she does in her home. Jenna appropriately uses EMC, or electronically mediated communication. Sometimes it's very hard to understand a person's heart when communicated over a text message. Jenna only uses texting when the conversation is lighthearted and fun. When serious conversations or heavier topics need to be addressed, she asks to have face-to-face phone calls instead. She also chooses to assume the best about people. Instead of reading into a text message and coming to her own conclusions, she continues to ask questions and has clarifying questions so she can understand better what the person is trying to communicate. My life has been greatly influenced and blessed by Jenna's friendship. She's taught me so much about what it means to be a good friend, communicate effectively, and lean more into compassion instead of criticism.